We are about to begin the QB Power Hour webinar series, your bi-weekly dose of insights and learning for accounting professionals with co-host Dan DeLong and along with Matthew Spot Fulton. We're here to explore the latest in the industry, QuickBooks, and integrations that matter to you. For more details on the series, visit qbpowerhour.com. And before we get started with the main content, we want to cover a few housekeeping tips. Any handouts or resources mentioned today will be provided for download, so no frantic note-taking required. If you miss anything or want to revisit a section, don't worry, video and audio replays of this live webinar will be available after the session. For everyone joining us live on Zoom, please use the Q&A panel for content-specific questions so we can address them directly during the session or follow up later. If you've got general comments or want to chat with your fellow attendees, use the chat feature. We love seeing your thoughts and reactions, so let's get started.
Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event.
All right, and new year, still new problems. Okay, welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Today we're going to be talking about 1099 strategies for accountants. Really, is QuickBooks enough? And we'll be joined by some folks, our friends over at Avalara, where they have some things to augment accountant strategies within the 1099 space. So we'll be talking to them shortly after we discuss the 1099 situations that are in QuickBooks directly. As always, welcome. My name is Dan DeLong, owner at Danwith and School of Bookkeeping. Worked at Intuit for nearly 18 years, co-hosting today also at Workshop Wednesdays over at schoolofbookkeeping.com and the unofficial QuickBooks Accountant podcast. Sharon, thank you for coming out of hibernation
guys.
Just for this webinar.
Nobody would even know I was in hibernation. I should think about that because honestly, the last time they saw me, we were all on this together, right? But yeah, my sabbatical lasts one more week. Super excited about it. My firm just sold this last week, and now I get to come back into the new year just helping accounting firm owners, and I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome.
And then read all that good stuff.
Yeah, and other stuff as well. And joining us today, friend of the show, Rich Kane. You want to give a little introduction for the folks that maybe missed you last year?
Yes, well, howdy do to everybody. I start out by like the famous holiday song. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Said no accountant, no bookkeeper, no controller. When you have to get into this 1099 stuff, it's just golly. So we're going to have a little fun today.
Rich is going to say, I'm just coming out of sabbatical, and I did not sign up for singing along. I was just going to be like, out, Sharon, out.
My voice just won't carry that.
So Rich is going to be chatting about the 1099 changes for this tax year, as well as some best practices that he has for inside of QuickBooks. But joining us from Avalara are a couple friends, Joselle and Gordon. So do you want to give a little introduction before we get into the meat and potatoes here?
Absolutely. And Rich, you nailed that. That was beautiful.
That was
the voice
good.
of an angel you have. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited to be here because Gordon and I, we talk about 1099s all year long, but now is a time when we are the most popular kids at the dance. Everyone wants to talk to us about 1099s. We are excited to talk to you all about 1099s and potentially how additional automation could work with your QuickBooks instances as well. So hello, everyone, and welcome.
And if only we knew how to dance as well as being that popular at the dance was.
Someday.
That'd be great.
Far too much encouragement here for singing and dancing at 9 o'clock in the morning for us West Coasters. I know you guys got to be happy over there. I just got to pipe back in and go, hey.
Bring us back to earth.
Well, we appreciate you joining us for this, the most wonderful time of the year for 1099ers. But I think the first question that people would have is like, wait a minute, I thought Avalara was sales tax. What are you doing on a 1099 webinar?
Ah, so clever. Indeed, we are known for our amazing sales tax magic that we do, sales tax, use tax, exemptions, calculation, all the fun and sexy things to do with sales tax. But yes, we've been in the 1099 space for quite some time now, and we have over 195,000 customers that have used it, probably a few on this call that have used our tool as well. So yeah, quite prominent in this space. We're just a little quieter over here compared to our big brother in sales tax.
Right. So it's not just for sales tax, Avalara. It's, as your slogan says, tax compliance done right, not necessarily just the sales tax part of that.
Indeed.
All right. And of course, my other machine just restarted. The penalties of doing a live webinar.
Mine's still on.
Okay. So that should be, for those that are watching the stream, I understand maybe there's some glitching going on there. I need a new computer. That's the thing. But a little bit about the QB Power Hour. If you're just joining us for the first time, it's every other Tuesday at noon Eastern, and we are making some changes this year in 2026. We will still have a channel on Earmark, but we're not ongoing from this point on. We are not doing CPE credit with them. You can still get CPE credit for prior QB Power Hours for up to a year. So you can always check out the channel there. But new webinars are not going to be eligible for CPE credit in the coming year. But you can always go to qbpowerhour.com/resources for PDFs of the slides, the handouts, past recordings, other resources available there as well. So today we're going to be talking, so our Intuit news is kind of unpacking or at least discussing the desktop pricing changes that were announced last month and when they're taking place. And then we'll just be chatting with Rich about 1099 strategies, the fundamentals, what's changed this year, the 1099s that QuickBooks supports, and some best practices inside of QuickBooks. And then we'll turn it over to Giselle and Gordon to talk about, well, what if you've reached a glass ceiling of what QuickBooks will allow you to do with 1099s and you need more, you'll have a 1099s or Avalara 1099s demo about that platform. So our first question before we get into the Intuit news is, did you launch that? Yes, you did. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sharon. What version of QuickBooks do you support your clients with? And so let's talk about the desktop pricing changes. This seems to be a common topic that we've been chatting about because it seems like we just talked about some desktop pricing increases. Well, this is going to impact Pro and Premier. So yes, you can still have an active subscription. You can't purchase new subscriptions of Pro and Desktop Pro and Premier. But for those that are on the subscription, that price will increase. Accountant and ProAdvisors will see an increase in their desktop add-ons. and QuickBooks Desktop Enterprise Silver. So there's several precious metals when it comes to desktop QuickBooks Enterprise, but only silver this time. All of the other ones included a pricing increase with the bundled enhanced payroll service. So they are spared this year. And then desktop payroll is getting an increase, as well as the caps are being increased for ACHs on desktop payments. And all of this is going to take place after February 1st. So right after the most wonderful time of the year, right, Rich? you get socked with an increase. The most important thing to remember about these pricing increases for the annual subscription, so your Pro, Premier, your Accountant, Desktop Enterprise, those type, Desktop Payroll, those are annual subscriptions, so you won't see the pricing increase. The pricing increase will be effective February 1st of this year, but you won't actually see the increase until your renewal, right? So if you started your subscription in June of 2025, that increase won't be until your actual renewal date of those annual subscriptions. Murph over at Insightful Accountant wrote a nice little blog highlighting all of this. So there's a link there in the handouts, which if you're watching the stream, I would love to put a QR code up, but since my computer decided to restart, I can't. So those of you that are watching on the stream,
if only you had a co-host that could help with things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just saying.
It sounds like we have something to
Dan,
talk
I think
about.
we need to start having more conversations. I was like,
Yeah.
no CP? We gotta talk.
One of the things that I wanted to do is actually use that studio so that it doesn't restart like that, because and then we'll use the Zoom link, the Zoom webinar in a different fashion. So we'll have once you're fully out of your sabbatical, Sharon, we'll reconvene and maybe separate our duties there. But yeah, so as far as the dollar amounts and those types of things, I would suggest going to Murph's blog there. It's some is substantial, some is insignificant. It really just depends on what you're using. Biggest increase that I noticed was the Accountant or ProAdvisor. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. Sharon, you might have some thoughts about
I made
that.
you a promise at the very beginning. I didn't want to come into this year full horns blasted against Intuit. I have thoughts. I mean, these are, I have thoughts. I'm going to save it for 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
All right.
I don't
want to make
Ada?
Avalara have to be a part of Sharon's Intuit rants. They need, they like their relationship with QuickBooks. So I'm going to.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about 1099, because enough about desktop pricing increases. So let's talk about that. So I love this this image here that you have here, that 1099s shouldn't be this hard. And we were talking in our
How did you get a
meetings.
picture of my house at Thanksgiving?
But 1099s used to be real simple when it came to QuickBooks, right? It was like three things. If the vendor was set up right and you had the accounts mapped and you had the threshold met, it would just prepare the 1099s. But what has been going on, Rich, lately with 1099s that make it a little bit more complicated?
Oh, you should ask. It is I like everybody to understand what a 1099 and the purpose of it is. And the purpose of it is it's an information return that you send to give to the IRS, because the IRS has no clue about what they should be expecting on people's returns until they get these 1099s to add to their account. Now, Dan has got the most famous line that I liked. He said that we are tattling to the IRS. Was that what you used?
Well, that's what you said. So last year,
basically what you're doing. You're filling in the
legally
IRS.
tattling on your vendors and suppliers.
That's correct. Correct. So if they don't know, they're giving you some rules, and if they don't know until you send in the 1099, then they put it in the person's records, their transcripts, and they are expecting to see on it like a 1099 non-employee compensation, they're expecting to see that on that person's tax return. And because you've reported it to them, if they don't report it, that's when they get a note, the big nasty gram from the IRS saying you didn't report all your income. That's because someone has taken the time somewhere on any 1099 form to alert the IRS that they should be expecting it for you. So that's really the premise of an IRS. It's only basically for services, and you can see all different types in there. We're only going to be talking about the first 1 to 5 of them. There are many more in there. QuickBooks only does the miscellaneous and the NECs. So anything, if you have any others, common might be an interest form or a dividend form. Hey, our good friends at Avalara, they're here today. They will show you how they can do the stuff that definitely QuickBooks can't. So those are the ones we're really talking about. Now, one thing, the rule is
Oh, good.
through 2025, that includes this, the ones we're doing there, the 1099 MISC or the NEC, the rule is $600 or more going to a person or a type of business. It's 600 or more. The good thing about Mr. Trump's new big road, whatever the triple B is, they are increasing that starting in 26, not in 25, to go up to minimum of 2,000. Then you can start reporting. So for this coming year in 26. Now, and the other thing is generally you do not withhold anything, but if it's somebody that doesn't want to give you their social security number, their tax ID number, or they want to have withholding, you are more than welcome to withhold on the 1099s, and you will remit that to the government annually on a form 945. So it's generally not common to see withholding, but if somebody wants to have withholding on there, you're more than happy to withhold it and remit it to the IRS. And then our infamous, the 1099K, that deals with credit card processors. They have to report. So the rule is for tax year 25, any transactions over $2,500. That's simply the rule. The new rule starting in 2026 is $20,000 or more of business on credit cards or 200 or more transactions. So I'm going to explain what a 1099K is and how it's important for us to understand what that is so we don't duplicate our efforts. We're really only going to focus on the MISC and the NECs. All right, Dan,
what is the concern? Like, right, as we talk about like an NEC, if you file a 1099 that includes something that should be reported from somebody else,
correct.
What could potentially happen?
Okay, well, first, the IRS has no clue. It's coming in from 2 sources. It's going to put 2 sources on your transcripts, and it's going to expect the higher amount. So when we prepare 1099s, the NECs, and the MISCers, it's only for cash that you've paid them, checks you've written, ACHs that you've written, and our good friends at, I believe at Zelly or Zale, whatever, we're going to get to that a little bit. So they don't know. It's not being done through a processor. So as long as it's not being done through a processor, it's your responsibility to calculate 600 or more and issue the 1099. What you don't want to do is if you paid somebody by credit card, you don't want to say, oh, I paid this individual and I gave him my credit card. Well, the credit card processor is going to handle it. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're not thinking and say, no, I paid the total amount that I paid them was $18,000. $18,000 went in through the credit card processor is going to process it, tattle to the IRS. You got 18 on your account. You've done an NEC to them. You didn't know that credit card processors, they have a 1099 NEC. Now they've got $36,000 the IRS is expecting of them. So that's the importance of it, is if it's done through a processor, the processor will issue their own 1099-K. You don't have to worry about it. Okay? And it's easy to get that conflict. So keep that in mind. All right, let's look at our
All right, so
resources. Hard
so
to
we've
read,
got-
just kind of glance at that, just something that you should happen to know. It's never been, the 600 has never been adjusted for inflation in more than 70 years. Now we're going to make it to 2,000 in.
It's quite a jump.
Quite a jump. But on that note, that I wanted to make sure that you knew that there is a penalty if you don't remit it. So if somebody does not have a social security number, you can't get a hold of them. Well, what are your penalties? There are some penalties, but I will be honest with everybody. I've never seen one in my history, and I'm old. I've never seen anybody in my history get nailed for not remitting a 1099. Generally, that may happen is if you're under an audit and then they ask for copies of the 1099s and you didn't remit it. So
Also,
that-
Rich, you think now that we're so automated that
Yep.
now, like before, I mean, they had no way of knowing, and now they've got these checks and balances.
Yeah.
And when you guys get a second here, I would love to give you a horror story of an issue I had with the CPA. I'd make it really quick, but you let me
Sure.
know when I can tell you a 1099 horror story.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
and
tell
share
it. All
Share it,
right.
yes.
So we were
Everybody wants to
taking,
know.
we had a client, we weren't doing their taxes. They had an outside CPA, and he wanted us to, he's like, hey, we need to issue all these 1099s. We go, here we go. We created them. He goes, don't file them. We're like, excuse me? He goes, well, don't file them. Just get the 1099s to the people, because they were so late, right? They were in March
Yes.
of the following year. And I was like, there is a likelihood, you guys, we're telling you as your accountants and your CPA should tell you, you might get a fine. He goes, just don't file them with the IRS. Just fill out the 1099s, get them to the contractors, and just don't file with the IRS. I go, what's your license number? I'm reporting you. This is the dumbest. I hope he's on here watching this and embarrassed, but that was the dumbest thing I ever heard. Create a 1099, give it to the individual so they can file it with their tax return, but not tie it back to anything from the employer that issued it. And he thinks that's okay. We got in a huge fight, and the client listened to them, and then they got tons of fines, and they came back to us and fired them. But just so you know, that's terrible advice.
Right. But I want to, mention that we're going to be coming up with a slide in a little bit. Your tax return asks you two questions physically on the tax return that says, do you have any 1099s, and can you issue them? Just as I'm talking here, this screen here, these are some of all the different types of 1099s. Obviously, we're not going through them, but some people say, well, what are the different 1099s? Oh, I remember that. So, Dan, you can scroll through the next 4 slides.
Yeah. These
let
are just
people take a gander.
resources for you out of the handouts of all of the different 1099s that are there. But let's jump into
Right.
how do you do this inside of QuickBooks?
Right. So just everybody should know that there are questions on the tax return that you have to answer. So you are saying you're going to remit them, even if it's late, get them to the IRS. Okay, so let's talk about how we get 1099s. 1099s are for individuals. They are for LLCs. So if a company's name ends in an LLC, you need to send them a 1099. If they are incorporated, you can skip theirs except for one caveat, and those are attorneys. So if you issue a 1099 to an attorney, even if it has ink in the name, as long as it's over $600, it goes, you need to issue it to them. First thing you need to do is get their tax ID number or their social security number. Usually you can ask them for it, but if you want to be generally formal about it, you can get a W-9 form. Now, I understand from my good friends at Avalara, who've been great, that they're going to be making some changes to this form in 2026. So in case you have a new consultant, a new person, a new LLC in 2026, you're going to want to make sure you get the 2026 form. Okay? And I have some examples on the left side. If it begins with a 9, it's an ITIN. That means an ITIN is an individual tax ID number. They are not U.S. citizens. So you can give them the ITIN, but you can issue the 1099 form with the ITIN in it, but it's probably going to go nowhere because they're not a U.S. citizen. So usually ITINs are for individuals that are aliens. They're not actually citizens and they are not filing a U.S. tax return. Okay? So once you get their tax ID number, we have the NEC, stands for non-employee compensation. Now, when you pay any of your consultants, vendors, etc., you want to only issue the 1099 for the services. If they also include supplies in there that they've purchased and you're reimbursing for you, the supplies are not included. So that is why in QuickBooks, you have to map your accounts that are basically only the ones that will appear on the 1099s and will skip the ones that are not. So it would skip supplies in that particular example. Some common ones are outside services, outside contractors, repairs and maintenance. Check your improvements of your fixed assets because you might have hired an individual to do painting or some sort of remodeling that are individuals that should be issued for it. Attorneys, legal fees, accountant fees, but remember, unless they're incorporated, accountants do not get one, only attorneys. Now, attorneys, they're a funky bunch. Okay, if you're issuing, I'm surprised they haven't done accountants yet on that one, but for attorneys, any type of normal services that they do, they review a contract, they create some sort of legal issue you have. That's the normal course of performing legal services. It appears on a 1099 NEC. If you have to write an attorney because you've had a situation, you've been found guilty and you have to issue some sort of settlement to the attorney. Settlements are not on the 1099 NEC, they are on the 1099 MISCers. So if you've been told that you've been naughty and you have a settlement and you have to write the check to the attorney because the attorney does all the bifurcating on that, that would go on a 1099 MISC. Okay, one for MISC, we also have rents and we also have royalties on a MISC. Now, what's really the difference between the two? Why can't you keep it all on one? Well, if you know anything about taxes, the NEC, the non-employee compensation, you have to pay taxes on that one. Well, obviously, you have to pay taxes on your 1099 MISCers as well. But in addition, on the 1099 NEC, you have to pay an additional self-employment tax of 15.2%. Anything on a 1099 NEC is subject to the self-employment tax, where a 1099 MISC is not subject to the self-employment tax. So let's go to the next slide, Dan.
All right.
Okay. And that is, so be careful which one you're doing. A lot of times people will give a prize out. That goes on the MISC because they're not subject to the self-employment tax. One other thing that I want to point out here is to go on the NEC, remember it's check, cash, ACH, Zelle, or a wire transfer. There's a little bit something you should understand. If you PayPal or if you Venmo somebody to somebody's personal account, not to a business. And I remember I use Venmo, it says, is this a business or is this personal? Then they warn you if it's personal because this could be, fraud, but other than that. But if you Venmo or you PayPal to an individual, that will not be issued. That will not go through a processor and will not be issued the 1099K. So you do have to include in your 1099 NECs people that were issued to Venmo or PayPal that went to a personal account, not a business account, because that'll be taken care of there. All right, let's shoot to the next slide. Here's the MISCers. We've got rents, royalties. Now rents, yes, if you pay an individual rent and it's over $600, you need to issue them a 1099. The landlords get it. People like, oh, I've never issued one to my landlord, or the landlords, oh, they don't want to give you their tax ID numbers. According to the IRS, You, as the one that writes, gives out the money, it's your responsibility to get their tax ID number before you write them even the first check or send them the first payment. So the responsibility falls on you, not them, to give it to you. Okay, next. Okay. Obviously, it talks about when it's not needed, if it's ink, except for attorneys, when it is Venmo, PayPal issued to a company, and it goes to it's done on your credit card. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, that's the infamous 1099K. One little tidbit on this, make sure you add up, unless you have tips in there, you add up the amounts in, I think it's 1A, gross or receipts. And when you file your tax return, make sure your receipts, declaring income, that is equal to the greater of all your 1099s, or you're going to get dinged with a letter that you didn't report enough. So it's a good check. Now, a little tidbit here that you may not realize. If your vendor goes and writes you a check on the 31st of December, okay, it's the end of the year, okay, and sends the check out, but your cash basis, and you don't receive that till the end of first week in January, guess what? They wrote it in December. And like on QuickBooks, you write a December check, it's going to appear on the 2025 1099. However, when your client gets it, their cash basis, they're going to put it in their bank in January, and obviously there could be a mismatch. So everyone, I said, if you write any checks out the last week of the year that is 1099able, it should be nice courtesy to let your person know that it's going to be on their 1099. They should include it in their 2025 revenue, or they're unfortunately going to get a mismatch notice and a nasty gram. On to the next slide.
I would like Jordan or Gordon or Giselle. I combined you into one human.
Most people do. It's fine.
Since I would like to invite you to dance. Any thoughts on that, on what Rich has covered so far?
Yeah, we definitely want to talk a bit about the 1099K because we do see a bit more nuance with the customers that we work with beyond just a credit card merchant processor. I'd like to invite Gordon to share a bit about that since he's been recently working with some big customers around this.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this is also a great opportunity with 1099K for your marketplaces, your sellers, your ambassadors. This is going to be, because it's a huge industry right now, right? I mean, we all know our eBays and Etsy's and things like that, but and kudos to you if you're their accountant. But there's a whole world. I mean, every week new marketplaces, whether it's online gaming or it is physical goods or something that is kind of popping up, and those, processing those payments through those. From a buyer to a seller within that marketplace environment is also going to be it's that authorized third party processor, and so that's going to also result in that K, which is obviously in those for the startups. What great news with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act reverting back to the pre-23 legislation of $20,000 and 200 transactions, because so many of those smaller ones, when it was going to be $600 with no transactions, we're definitely going to be pinged with having to issue a ton of 1099s that now I think, push off more to year 2, year 3 of a business, a startup in that marketplace environment as well. That we see, making life a little bit easier.
Yep, true.
There was one other note we just want to touch on with the new W-9. It is in draft form right now. So we're watching it very closely. The revision date does say January 2026. Now, is that before or on the January 31st deadline for 1099s? We don't know. A couple things to note on there for sole proprietor, why it's important. sole proprietors are no longer allowed to provide an EIN. It must be an SSN. So how are you what mechanisms are you putting into place to ensure that you are identifying whether it's EIN or SSN, and how are you going to communicate that to your clients or your the end vendors? There's another section in the certifications. There's an update there that pertains to the 1099-DA, digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and NFTs. I don't know how relevant that is to this audience, but that is one big change that we are seeing there. And then the last one is around the FIRE to IRIS transition. Gordon, what was the third one that we had on our list?
Yeah, that's the one that concerns me, if I'm being honest. That's the one that we all might get. I think the IRS is potentially going to get knocked out on it too. And I think it also relates to that W-9 coming, revision, because Iris is one, if you're a FIRE filer, direct to FIRE filer, hopefully you're really paying attention today via QuickBooks or Avalara for filing, because Iris is not easier to work with than FIRE. That is a definite. But two, Iris is changing the way that naming conventions work as it accepts forms. It's now a first and last name, a 2-box versus a 1-box. FIRE has always been 1 box for name. Iris is going to be 2 for those sole props. And that causes some trouble when it comes back to, what do our accounting systems, our ERPs, how do our clients, how does the data come to us? Is it in 1 box, or does it separate into 2? And if it doesn't separate into 2, what is the IRS going to allow from the standpoint of allowing us as not the vendor or contractor or whatever they are, to decide what goes in the first box and what goes in the second box, especially when it's a multi-part name or a hyphenated last name? The IRS is pretty clear. They don't want us making decisions for somebody when we fill out a W-9 or issuing the 1099 data. Whatever we get is what we're supposed to issue. Even though we're the ones who get penalized for it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if systems keep pushing out data in a 1 box and we have to submit it in 2 box, what is that going to look like? How quickly will all of the different softwares adapt? And again, what happens when we have a bunch of data where it is 1 box, and how are we supposed to legally and without penalty decide how to differentiate that data, and what is that going to do? It's an interesting premise. Hopefully the new W-9 will make things easier.
We shall see.
That is being designed to get rid of the problem that is checking the box in Section 3 for whether you're, those disregarded entities, LLCs, taxes, sole props, constantly trying to mark LLC and then not writing SC or P on the line because they're like, I don't know what I am. It's supposed to alleviate the single member, the disregarded entity problem. But again, historically, the IRS has never, ever put out a new W-9 and then required us to use it on past W-9s. So is this going to be the first time where they say you've got to go back and collect new W-9s in this format for all of your vendors? We're in a world of unknown. I think this filing season that's going on right now, or is starting to open today on January 6th, is going to be an interesting one with the DA, with the changes to the thresholds and things that are coming. But I also think next year with the move to IRIS, the new W-9, 1098 LVI, there's so many different things coming that it could be a firestorm, is a nice way to say it.
Yeah, I've never seen it be this far into the filing season where things are being changed like this. Usually, they're very slow to provide to the providers, the drafts and the forms and those types of things. I've never seen it creep into the following year like this. So
it pushes back the response from the states as well. So do the states follow the IRS Fed? Do they do their own thing? Do they stay where they're at, even though it could be different? So it doesn't give the states much time to respond in like or opposite. So just crunches all the timelines. Nice.
And sometimes you'll need an extension, so that
great.
segues
Great segue.
so nicely, Rich, into a 1099 extension.
Right.
How
So
do you
NECs are due out by January 31st, unless it falls on a Saturday or a Sunday, then it's due the following Monday. And the MISCers are due February the 28th. So I've never seen anyone get in trouble for sending it late, but if you feel you need to, there is an extension form that you can fill out. And I believe this one has to be mailed in. I believe this form is not available to transmit electronically. So there is an extension form if you need it. Okay. Couple of penalties. Down at the bottom, it says there, it's, let's see, in the middle there, it says it's $60 per, I think, 1099, and penalties can range from 60 to 680 for missing or incorrect identification numbers. A lot of times you'll get a lot of foreigners or people who aren't legal in the country. They will give you a fictitious, and you will get a notice that you've sent to them, an incorrect TIN number. Once again, I've never heard anybody give me any penalties if we didn't find the right one. I usually go back and double check. All right, we've talked about some of the relevant changes. Let's go on to the next slide.
All right, let's launch our
Polling question 2.
second poll question. Do you use QuickBooks to prepare the 1099s? And while you're answering that, let's talk about some 1099 best practices. So, and the main thing that we were talking about, and the main confusion, I think, for a lot of folks, is this 1099K versus 1099 miscellaneous or NEC, and how those things get excluded out of QuickBooks. And in go ahead.
In the bottom section, if you, in your check register in QuickBooks, whether it be desktop or online, you have these words instead of a check number that you see here. This has been pre-programmed into the system that if it sees these, it will exclude them from putting it on a 1099 NEC. So if you have something that's trouble, you say, well, gee, I don't want this one to appear. Just make sure you use any one of these codes, and then you won't have an issue with it.
Yeah, there's a typo there. It's not MB, it's MC. For MasterCard. We're not talking about MB Raimondi.
Yeah, true.
She's not excluded from payments.
That was
sorry,
good.
MB.
That was good. Okay. Now I just want to mention that you're supposed to file these for anybody that's more than $600. One way I get around that, if it's a husband and wife team and it's, I can split the two of them up. And they say that they both were under 600. I have a little way of doing that. But a couple of things, one thing I wanted to share with you, everybody, and Sharon, you'll kind of appreciate this, is you don't have to issue something under $600, but you're not precluded from doing it. Or tattling is what you say. And I've got 2 instances here. Let's say, for example, you hired a painter for $500. He came in, he did the most horrid job. You told him he was terrible, but he demanded money. You gave him the $500. Well, you're pissed. He did a crappy job. So you can certainly issue him a 1099 for the $500. You've now tattled on him, and he now must pay the tax on that. Another one I sometimes say you could do.
That is what us in the profession called a jerk move, just so you know.
Yes, that is true. The same would
Don't
also
tell the IRS. There's so many better petty ways to go after people that I know.
One more of my favorites is, especially in small business, this happens. You've given an employee a loan or an advance. Let's say it's $450 and they quit and you totally forgot to collect the $450, or they didn't have enough wages and it's sitting on your books as an employee advance. Well, when you're going to write that off, write them for that money, send them a 1099. Now they're dinged for paying the tax on the money that they should have paid you. So those are the 2 that I have that you can issue for under $600. Okay.
Rich,
now,
you have a good report here that you use to kind of reconcile what QuickBooks shows and what
right. So what I've done is, by the way, there's a typo in there.
Oh.
And Sharon, can you end the poll on that one? Okay. What I've done is basically I've gone in to.
Is there another poll I'm supposed to run? Did I miss a poll?
No,
Nope, I did 2. Do you use
Okay, it was only
but
two.
to prepare
Perfect.
1099. So it's
Okay. Now, what
okay.
I've done is it's really easy for me to do is I've gone in, ran a trial balance, drilled down on my cash accounts, and I've made a report where I only take checks, bill payments and credit, bill payments and expenses. Because if it's got any of those other ones that are in there or credit card, we're not going to need it. And then I basically print this out and I eyeball the vendors. Is there one? Is it say Inc? Nope, don't need it unless it says attorney. And I kind of eyeball, oh, this one's an individual. This one, is illegal. So it basically gives me a quick eyeball as to who should be on the list for 1099s for that year. Then I'll go into the software and I'll see who's already on there. And then I can find out who I'm missing that they need to get it from. Now, we all don't like the digging. Nobody likes the digging of that. So that kind of report that I've done kind of makes it a little easy for me to kind of quickly go through it and eyeball who needs to have one.
Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
some good workflows is get that W-9 before you issue your first payment.
Yep,
Because
definitely.
then you've got that part taken care of.
Right.
Now let's talk a little bit about doing things inside of QuickBooks, and then we want to toss things over to Avalara to give us an insight into their platform. We did get a little late start, so we will be a little bit over
We got a
the
little
top of the
overage there.
hour. We appreciate you hanging out and chatting with us in Avalara. But QuickBooks has a newer automated 1099s. The big difference is that you're paying for each form, but on their roadmap and the way that they're these automated 1099 forms, being able to evaluate who's all of these things that we're talking about that make things a little bit more complicated. It will the design or the purpose is to isolate those anomalies, like, hey, these people got paid in different ways. The big difference there is that you would be paying per form for each client and within each company.
Okay. One thing I want to mention is you're required, if you have 10 or more combined 1099s, you must issue that electronically. You cannot do paper if there's 10 or more. So this
Now,
would be perfect.
as this is called the manual processing of 1099s in QBO, this is the e-filing service that's included inside of most other services, right? So for QuickBooks Online Payroll, contractor payments, the QB bill pay, premium and higher, the 1099s, the processing of 1099s and filing of 1099s are included. And then when it refers to the combined state and federal, it's only if those states opt into the combined filing options. And there's links there for the manual process as well as the automated process in the slides. Now, we're not going to cover how to do all these things because my friend Alicia Katz-Pollock is actually running a course right now on RoyalWise, all about, it's a 2-hour course about how to process and do these things inside of QuickBooks Online. You can get a link there for it for the course. It's $70. Even if you can't attend today, you'll have access to the recordings and the Q&A after the fact. So there's a link there for that. Then there's always, what about desktop? You've got a wizard inside of desktop. It's using they partner with Tax 1099. It is a PITA. The first time, especially, that would be the pain in the ass, PITA, because you have to set up the QB web connector. There's a plugin, but once it's set up, the sync is established. You finish and file those things inside of Tax 1099. But then we all have this question: well, really, is QuickBooks enough for all the things that we do inside of QuickBooks for 1099 purposes? Jennifer Diamond, who is participating, she's in the chat there. She's created this wonderful resource for a lot of the questions that I've seen people asking here. What about Venmo, friends and family versus Zelle or what have you? It's so she has a 1099 decision matrix. There's a payment matrix, discussion forums, as well as 10 more 1099 events. As if you didn't have enough fun for 1099s, they
I
have
love
things
this. She just
going all
sent
through the
this to me
year.
this morning via WhatsApp. Oh, sorry, Dan. You know me. I'm like, shut up, Dan. I haven't talked for 2 months.
That's
Yeah, she just sent me
okay.
this morning via WhatsApp, and immediately, I don't have a firm anymore, but I sent it to all of them. I'm like, hey, go push this to our clients. And then I put it in my hub because this is such a cool little resource. Gets people really going because you know how it is. Nobody worries about it because we don't know what people are
Right.
doing unless they're doing it in their bank account until January 20th. They're all, hey, by the way, who do I 1099? You're like, what? So this is a great tool to give to your clients. I'd push this to my clients,
Yeah.
to be honest.
And she's giving us for just the QB Power Hour $10.99 off. There's a promo code. It's QB Power Hour 1099 if you were to set that up. Now let's talk about Avalara 1099. So Giselle or Gordon, what when is it a good fit for the Avalara 1099 solution with QuickBooks?
A couple highlights, and I know Gordon will be sharing his screen here momentarily to do a very quick and dirty demo so you can see what our beautiful product looks like and how to move through it. But just a couple quick notes. We play so nicely with QuickBooks. QuickBooks and Avalara 29 are great friends. Some features that could improve your process above and beyond just the QuickBooks that Rich had talked us through. Easy import from QuickBooks, a W9 and W8 digital collection tool, validation and storage, in-tool live at your fingertips, bulk tin matching. So if you're not doing tin matching or you're into the IRS site or another third party, you can stop that. You can do that right in our 1099 solution. You can do that live in real time and bulk. IRS and state e-filing. We also do print and mail services, so you don't need to buy the pre-printed forms. You can do that directly within our tool. We have a secure print and mail facility that does that for us. Has address verification and tracking delivery of those 1099s to your recipients. We also do e-statements for free, and they're IRS compliant as well. And we do over 40 plus 1099s, even the 1098 series, even the 1040 2S, even the Canadian slips, the T4As. We do a whole pile of them. So we'd love to take you on a quick tour if you have a brief moment. Yay! Jennifer loves Track 1099. Yes. Yes, you
All
do.
right, so I'm going to
Track
stop
1099 was our previous
sharing.
name.
I'll stop sharing. So Gordon, you should be able to share and
Yeah.
take a 50,000 foot tour of
Yeah.
Avalara 1099.
Really try to make this as easy as we can. In those situations where you need to collect W-9s, we make it as easy as picking the form type you need, a name and an email to send out a link, and then we've built out a form so that you don't have terrible handwriting to decipher when you look at a W-9. You don't have partially filled out, overfilled out. I'm checking 3 different boxes or forgot to write SC or P on the line. We've built out a lot of those things. And we also in our W-9 help to collect the IRS required consent to e-deliver 1099 so that you can easily and compliantly deliver those without having to pay for mailing. And probably my favorite part, but when a user clicks sign and continue, it is going to perform a live, real-time, direct to the IRS TIN match and provide the feedback to them. So if it doesn't match, we ask that vendor, that contractor, takes a minute and fixes their W-9. So by the time you get it, it's already matched up and ready to go. So a really great tool to clean up that aspect and to really make sure you are taking in good info from the start. But above and beyond that, we also allow you to have unlimited number of clients in the system, unlimited number of users at no cost in the system, permissions like only see the users you need, the clients that a certain user needs, or a group of clients that a user needs, as well as ability to limit things like filing or mail access. We do also make it very easy via our imports. We are directly hooked up to QBO, And as of, I'm going to say this here and hope that my product team doesn't kill me, but as of next week, we will also have QuickBooks Desktop as well.
Woo!
Very, very quick and easy. It auto maps expense accounts, but you can also set your own chart of accounts to map to the boxes of the 1099s you want to file. We audit everything to make sure that the IRS will accept any of those the forms that come through. We give you the choice of dates of when things go to the IRS, when they get emailed, when they get mailed. We TIN match and address verify. And then we also, as Joselle said, once filing has been completed, we'll track mail through delivery, e-delivery, the emails, the accepted. We track everything with the IRS and the states for you. And then we allow for free corrections in 2 clicks to make a correction with the IRS for free, making it really, really easy tool to use on a year-round basis.
And then we're starting to see some questions about the costs and the fees and those types of things. What is the pricing model for 1099 Avalara platform?
Super simple. Give us 2 numbers. The first number is how many total 1099s and W9s, if you choose to, would you like to run through our system? Second one is, do you want to print and mail using our services? That is it. So we can certainly configure a quote for you. I don't know, Dan, if you have the final slide of call to action on how to get a hold of us, but that would be the best way to do so. Share your, you don't need to give us a file or anything at this point, just need to know approximately how much, and we can configure a quote.
Yeah, we've got, I think somebody is asking in the chat where they can get the slides. Our landing page that we have has all the slides, the links to the 1099problems.io, as well as the 1099 course, as well as information about the Avalara 1099s. But let's go ahead and launch that last poll question. Sharon.
I did it.
Yes, you
It was just the last one I didn't know.
Just was this information useful? I know there's a lot of information to kind of cram in there, but we wanted to make sure that we kind of set the foundation, but also gave you links to additional resources for those that are specializing in this, right? Because I think I learned from Avalara, do what you do best and then outsource the rest.
Yeah.
And if you want to get involved with sales tax, great. If you're not, use Avalara or Avatax. If you want to get involved with 1099 preparation, great. If not, use something else, right? Because especially with this platform, you can get into more 1099 services, even more so than what QuickBooks offers. Sharon, any final thoughts? Rich?
I have one caveat. People ask me, what happens when you make a boo-boo? And basically you do a new 1099 at the box at the top, you mark corrected, and you send that back to the IRS. It's a superseded form. So it will supersede what you originally sent them. You don't have to send everybody's in, just the ones that need changing. But if my recollection is correct, last year it said whatever method you use to e-file is the same one you have to do for corrected. It has to be on the same platform. So I can't say, oh, this is a boo-boo, and go to my friend down the street and say, okay, can you file this corrected me? You have to go to your original source. So if you did it on QuickBooks, you have to do it through QuickBooks to do any sort of fixing of boo-boos.
Karen, you were saying?
No, Avalara's been around for a while. They have a cool tool. They do more than just 1099s. But if you're having to ask a ton of questions about 1099s and you're confused, just think about, this is my rule of thumb. Think about how long it takes you to figure this information out, to go through it, and decide if it's worth what you can just outsource to a company that all they do is 1099. So if you're paying them, $50 a month and you have hundreds of clients, it's sometimes makes more sense. So just remember, in this day and age of technology and software, you don't have to know everything right now. You don't have to do it on your own. Utilize the software, and if you learn and decide it's easy along the way, but don't be afraid of the software, guys. You're not going to lose money. You're probably going to make more in the long run.
And then next week or next time on the QB Power Hour, we're going to be talking about the changes that are coming up to Intuit Accountant Suite or QBOA. So definitely that will probably be a time when Sharon skips her resolution of not saying nice things about Intuit.
I mean, I'm
as
gonna
we
try.
unpack that.
They do it to themselves. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking. I mean, don't kill the messenger. I mean,
Right.
just saying.
Your outside voice is is available for
outside
others.
voice.
Well, we
There
appreciate
go.
you joining us.
Exactly.
We appreciate you joining us this week on the QB Power Hour. We'll see you next time. And hopefully everybody has a wonderful and safe 1099 season. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.